Firstly, Holly, tell the viewers a bit about yourself. What got you into feminist academia?
Oh, I mean, I actually got sucked in by watching a similar kind of backlash that has been going on in the last month or so against a philosopher in the UK. So that's Kathleen Stock, who had started writing on gender critical issues over there, just kind of in a blog post, and had just attracted this incredible angry reaction from the philosophy profession and further. So, of course, that piqued my curiosity and I started looking into the issues, and I just got intrigued and kind of fell down the rabbit hole, and I've been doing it since then.
Well, that's an interesting entry into your field of academia, because most people get into it because they agree with what's already happening. It sounds like you got into it because you were concerned about the direction it was heading in. Is that a good way of summarising it?
I think that's right. So philosophy really stands for certain values, so pursuit of truth, open inquiry, charitable construction of your opponent's arguments, really like having the debate in this kind of rational way. And I didn't know that much about feminist philosophy. I was working in political and moral philosophy on topics like climate ethics and collective action. I just hadn't really paid much attention to feminist topics. So it was more just like seeing that this reaction to what Kathleen was saying was just so anti-philosophical, really like the wrong, a violation of our disciplinary norms, just kind of shocking. And of course, that just made me interested. What's the stuff we're not allowed to talk about? Let's find out more about that, and let's kind of sort of be another person joining her in this discussion.
So we will get to your latest cancellation in a minute, but tell me, when was the first time you were cancelled?
Oh, I think that was early 2019. And that was actually kind of looking back on that, I think I was very lucky because I just heard about it after the fact. So I'd given this interview with Richard Marshall for 3am magazine. Most of it was just about my political philosophy work. And then at the end, he asked me a few questions about trans issues. I answered them. The article went up. And then what I heard was, inside the magazine, there had been an attempt to get the article taken down, and then Marshall had quit in protest rather than capitulate to allowing the article to be taken down. So all I heard was like this editor had really stood up for me, held his ground, and that was going to be amazing if you consider the sequence that would follow, which was a lot of people being really cowardly. But he was the first one, and he stood his ground, which I think is really cool.
Well, you're highly regarded in the field now, being published by Oxford University Press, and you're a regular commentator on Quillette and The Philosopher's Magazine, which is based in the United States. Did you ever think your opinions would one day be seen as not radical enough?
Not radical enough? I'm not sure what that means. Can you say a bit more?
Well, you are being targeted by radical proponents of gender critical theory. So in their eyes, you're not radical enough. That's what I'm trying to say. Or would you disagree with that statement?
Maybe the thing to say is that it's a different kind of radicalism. So there's a sort of divergence or a fight against the orthodoxy or the mainstream. And I think maybe the like minority viewpoint, or the sort of like people who thought of themselves as progressives, they got comfortable thinking they were the only ones. So in the second wave as feminists, that was the ones that thought like, oh, there's a sex gender distinction and not every female has to be feminine and not every male has to be masculine. That was the fight. But I think now it's like really diverged. So you've got your sex as a social construction team following people like Judith Butler, and then you've got your gender critical feminists who are like, hey, let's not actually throw out sex and sex difference. Let's have a sensible discussion about sex-based rights and feminism and how to like advance women's situation without just being social constructionists about absolutely everything. So it's more like there's two groups of radicals now fighting it out for radical supremacy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.